Hi guys, Alice Taylor Downer here at Lytham Golf Academy, and today we're going to see how many wedges should you be carrying in your golf bag. Right then guys, so if you're new to the channel, welcome to Ali Taylor Golf. Please click on the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Let's make sure you get my content as soon as it drops. Try and get you playing better golf and enjoying your golf more than ever before. But for now, let's get on with the video and let's see how many wedges you should be carrying in your bag. Right then guys, so this is a question I get asked loads by golfers when they come down and see me at Lytham Golf Academy. But how many wedges should you be carrying in your golf bag? Now still traditionally, I see a lot of guys with just a pitching wedge and a sand wedge. And most guys still think as they run through the bag, through the irons going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, pitch, sand, that is the correct sequence for how your wedges would actually work. But big challenge is the manufacturers over the last 20 years have definitely been making the lofts on the irons stronger. So for example, my pitching wedge in the Ping Eye 500 is 45 degrees loft, whereas my sand wedge is still 56. So we've got an 11-degree gap between one wedge and the next. Now as you run through your irons, generally speaking, you're looking at about a 4-degree gap going through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitch. And generally speaking, that's going to create a 10 to 12 yard gap. So straight away there, we can see that potentially there's an issue there, that if 4 degrees is 10 yards, maybe 12 yards, 11, I could be looking at a 30-degree gap. So then we need to decide, if I'm going to plug that gap, how am I going to look to plug that? So you can go on lofts, but I think the danger is you don't always see that a particular loft hits the ball a particular distance, which is where ideally you get along, get on a launch monitor, hit some balls and actually see how far the clubs go. So if I were to hit my pitching wedge, normal full swing, down the range, GC quad, real golf ball, we see a good solid strike, pitching round about that 130. And if we look exact carry distance there, 131 carry. And for me, it's all about carry distances, particularly with wedge shots, because we are looking for the ball to stop pretty quickly on the green. So now if I hit my sand wedge, in theory for a lot of guys, this should go 120 yards, but I don't think there's any chance this is going to go 120. So 56 degree. So that's good as I can hit that. Very, very solid. Down the same lines. And just over 100 yards, which is kind of what I would expect. But we've suddenly got 131 with my pitching wedge, and we've got 102 with my sand wedge. So I've got that 30-yard gap that I would expect to see from an 11-degree change in loft. Now, historically for me, I've always played a 52-degree wedge. Now, that would straight away mean putting one extra wedge in there, but potentially we can already work out there that maybe 52 might not be correct. So, I do currently have 52 in the glide forged wedge, so 52 degrees. Let's hit this, and for this to plug perfectly, I need this to be around 117 yards for carry. So off we go, 52-degree wedge. Again, good solid strike. Straight down the line that I want. And that's pretty good in there for me. We can see that carry. I'm looking for around about 117. And I'm at 118. So for me, even though there's a 7-degree gap from the pitching wedge to the 52, it actually gaps in nicely at that kind of 13, 14, maybe 15 yard at a push gap. Now that gap is a little bit bigger than you would potentially see with the rest of your irons. And I think the key is your wedges, this is a scoring part of your game. So the bigger those gaps are, the more you've either got to practice that or guess on those yardages. So let's say, for example, if that didn't quite go far enough though, potentially I might have to add another wedge in there at 48 degrees. So let's see how far 48 would go for me. And felt good, nice and solid. I'm expecting this to be just a little bit short of where the pitching wedge would be. So we had 131 with the pitching wedge for the carry. Now the 48 degree is 125. So potentially that would fit in my bag. Now the really interesting thing for me as a coach is probably 20, 25 years ago, pitching wedges were more like 50, 52 degree loft. So more like the gap wedges that we're seeing now, but because those clubs are getting stronger and stronger with loft, the one that's got a pitching wedge on the bottom of mine, probably 25 years ago, might have had an 8 on the bottom. So it's a little bit false ego as to how far the balls are going with the clubs, but we can definitely see there that I would certainly have at least one more wedge in between my pitch and sand, and I'm comfortable with that kind of 14, 15 yard gap. So where an extra wedge could even go in there again is I would then put a 60 degree wedge. Now I do hit full shots with my 60. So I had just over 100 with my sand wedge. Good strike, little pull. Should be around about 90 yards. Maybe 88, 90. So we can see the decent 89. So straight away on my full swings, the 4 wedges give me 4 yardages. Now also for them, for me, which again I don't think enough guys do out there, I then practice some different length backswings that I can repeat with various wedges, and I would then make each swing with each club and learn how far they go, and I would put a sticker on the back of the club with my different yardages. So by carrying, for me, 4 wedges, I think it covers a huge number of yardages from kind of 25 yards up till about 130 on carry. But I can completely see why some guys would carry 5 wedges in the bag. You know, I see guys with 64 in there that might not be full shots, but for little shots around the green could be very, very helpful. But for me, you need to make sure that potentially, if you don't get a chance, that the lofts should at least be kind of 4 or 5 degrees difference. But ideally, you should be hitting balls and getting those wedges gapped in nicely so we don't have any kind of 25, 30, even bigger yardages. I see some guys down here that hit the pitching wedge, say 120 yards, and hit the sand wedge 75. There's such a big area of the scoring game there that they're guessing at, that you're never going to score as well as you could if you scrimp on the scoring clubs in your bag. Right then guys, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. So how many wedges should you be carrying in your bag? The big thing is, you know, guys tend to top load the bag a lot, I think, with fairway woods, hybrids, but really miss out on the scoring side of the game. So for me, 4 wedges in there, pitching wedge 52, 56 and 60. And I know that they kind of plug those gaps nicely for me. You might feel that you don't need that 60 degree wedge. I do think that gap wedge is something that most guys miss out on, and really you should be putting that in your bag to help you score as well as you can. And obviously lower scores, we're going to enjoy that, get those handicaps down and maybe win some more competitions. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it, comment below, I'll get back to as many people as I can. Click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Let's make sure you get my content as soon as it's out. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.